Hi, it's Shayla from Making Lemonade from Lemons, and today I am making cranberry sauce. I'm not a huge fan of it myself personally, but my family loves it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn you around and show you guys what I'm doing. It's really simple, very simple ingredients, and I think that I think you'll enjoy it. If you like cranberry sauce, you'll like it. It's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna actually do two different types. I'm not gonna show you all the steps with both types. I'm just gonna show you the end product, or what it looks like whenever it goes in the jar for both types. One is gonna be a whole berry, and the other one is gonna be more like a jelly or a jam type thing. So that one's gonna be more like what you would get in the cans in the store, and then the whole berry, of course, is going to be more like, it's probably going to be more like a chutney type stuff. So anyway, let me turn it around and show you how I'm going to do this. Okay, so the first thing that you need is 4 cups of water. And this is filtered water. It is filtered from my Berkey, and I know I've got a huge pot right here for what looks like a little bit of water. And yes, I realize that I probably don't need one quite so deep. However, I do know that the cranberries pop, and so it's just precautionary. So anyway, so it's 4 cups of water and then 4 cups of sugar. So let's see if I can get the sugar. Okay, so while the water and the sugar is getting ready to boil, so while I'm waiting for that to boil, let me tell you what else you need. So this is 3 bags, I believe, let me check, I believe they're 1-pound bags. Yeah, they're 12-ounce bags, so 3 12-ounce bags of cranberries that I rinsed off, and I picked through them to make sure that the ones that were in here were good ones, that they weren't bruised. You need the zest of 2 oranges, and I'm going to also add in the juice of the 2 oranges. The recipe that I have does not call for that, but I think that I like that to use the orange juice in it. I've made some before, and I liked it better than any of the other cranberry sauce that I had before, and it had orange juice in it. So I'm gonna go ahead and squeeze these oranges, and I will be right back. Okay, so I have added the orange juice, and I also added, you can either add a stick of cinnamon, or you can add like a teaspoon of cinnamon. It's optional, and I opted to do the cinnamon because I don't have the cinnamon sticks. So I did opt to add just the plain cinnamon. This water, and as you see, it's steaming, and it will be boiling soon. As soon as it is boiling, then you want to add the cranberries until they pop. Once they pop, then we'll discuss that afterwards, because the process for the jelly-like and the one for the whole berry is a little bit different at that point. So once we get to that point, we'll I'll show you what we'll do with the jelly type, because that's the one that has more steps. Okay, so I will show you how I'm going to do that one, and then we'll discuss how you do the other, and then I'll show you both, the result of both. Okay, so just bear with me. I know that hopefully that wasn't too confusing. Okay, so it started to boil, and I just added in the cranberries. I was trying to film me adding the cranberries, but it got really steamy, and it messed up the focus on the camera. So, well, on the phone, because I use my phone to video everything. So, do you hear it? Can you guys hear the popping? It's exactly what you want to hear. You want to hear them popping. And what you want to do is you want to make sure that most of them have popped. And then once, if you're going to make the smoother jelly, then what you want to do is you want to, after most of them have popped, you want to turn off the pot, and you want them to just kind of sit and cool off for just a little bit, because what you'll need to do is use an immersion blender, or you can feed it into a regular blender and blend it up and then put it back into the pot. I'm going to try to use my immersion blender and see how that works. So there's still some that I don't think have popped, and so I'm trying to give it a little bit more time to pop, because I think that some of them it's smelling really, really good though. You can smell the orange and the cinnamon and the cranberries, and it just really smells really good. Try to keep enough distance from the steam so that it doesn't mess up the focus. Okay, I think the majority of them have already popped. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this off, and I'm going to let it cool off a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I will bring you back whenever I get ready to use the immersion blender, so that you can see that process. And then at this point, this is where if you're going to use the whole berries, this is where it differs. Instead of turning it off and letting it cool down for a little bit, you just keep cooking it, and you cook it for 15 minutes. And then after those 15 minutes are over, you want to test it and see if the cranberry sauce is kind of sheeting off of your spoon, and I'll try to show you guys what that means here in a little bit. And then if it is, then you can go, you add your orange zest if you're going to use it, and then you start to jar it up. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I will bring you back after this is cooled down for a little bit and show you what the process would look like, what it will look like. Okay, so this is what it looks like after you have taken the immersion blender and blended it. So as you see, it's pretty well blended. There might be a few berries here and there that didn't get blended. But for the most part, they're blended pretty well. So at this point, one of the things that you can do in order to cut back on some of this foam is you can add just a tiny bit of butter, and that will help to cut the foam. And what you're going to do is you're just going to cook this for 15 minutes. Now, most of you guys know if you make any kind of jams and jellies and that kind of thing, most of you know that most of those things require pectin. But cranberries have so much pectin that they don't need added pectin. So it's just the sugar, water, the little bit of orange juice that was in those 2 oranges, which was ended up being about 1/3 of a cup. And then a little bit of cinnamon. And then at the very end, we'll stir in the orange zest. And that's it. So what I'll do is I'm going to let this cook for 15 minutes, and then I will bring you back when it's ready to put in the jars. Okay? Okay, so I went ahead and I added in the orange zest. And as you can see, you see how it just kind of is already starting to gel, just sitting here, just like this. You can tell at that point that it's going to gel up really good in the jars. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and get that started. Okay, so if you guys don't have one of these ladles and you're canning, especially jams, jellies, sauces, that kind of thing, these are really, really handy. And I will put a link to to where I got mine with Amazon. It is an affiliate link, so if you click on it and you do your shopping through there, it helps out my channel, but it doesn't cost you anything more. So you just ladle this into the jars, and I'm trying to do this with one hand. Okay. And as you see, I have my lids already ready on standby. Okay, and you want to get it to about 1/4 of an inch headspace. So when you lift it up, I could probably put a little bit more in there, but I'm gonna see what I have for the rest of the jars. And I'm gonna go ahead and get these filled up, and then after I fill them up, I will debubble, and then once I debubble it, I will wipe the rim with a cloth that has a little bit of vinegar on it, just to make sure that the rim is clean. And then I'll put the lids on it, and then what I'll do is I will bring you guys back whenever I'm going to fill the other jars, okay? So that you can see, this one is the jelly-like, where it's sort of like the one that you get in the store, and then I'll bring you back to show you what the whole berry cranberry sauce will look like. Okay, so I have, sorry, let me get my jar set up over here real quick so it's closer. Just want to make sure that you're starting with sterilized jars. And this is what the what it looks like with the whole berries. So I did not, with these, I did not use the immersion blender. Okay, and so you can see that you're actually getting chunks of cranberries in there. All right, so like I said, you just want to make sure that you're filling it up to about 1/4 of an inch headspace, and then you want to debubble it, and you want to wipe the rims with a cloth that has a little bit of vinegar. The vinegar will help get rid of anything that's sticky or greasy. And so yeah, that's what you're gonna do. And then so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and finish getting this done, because I'm making a mess trying to do this one-handed, and I will be back. Okay, so what I did was I went ahead and I got these into this canner. As you see, the water is above the jars, and it's actually at least 2 inches above the jars, which is what you want. You want it to be 1 to 2 inches above the jars. It is hot water because the jars were hot, and the cranberry sauce was hot going in the jars. So you want the water to be hot whenever you put the jars in it, so it is less shock to your jars. you have less of a chance of breakage. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to let this get up to a boil, and then I'm going to boil it for 15 minutes. That's what this specific recipe calls for. Most of the time, pints, when you're doing actual jelly jams, most of the time it actually calls for 10 minutes. And for, I think it's even 10 minutes for quarts. I can't remember. I would have to look it up. But generally it's less than 15 minutes for pints. So, but I'm going to go ahead and process it for the 15 minutes. It's not going to hurt it to process longer. And since it's a jelly, it's fine either way. But so I'm going to do that, and I'll bring you back to show you the finished product, and then we'll do a little bit of a recap for you. Okay, so this is what they turned out, and of course, before I store them, I'll take the rings off. It's really hard to tell the difference between the two different types in the jars. This one, if you can see, there's an actual cranberry right in there. So, it is hard to tell the difference, but they are all really solidly congealed. This one was laying over, so it was laying over like this, and so it kind of congealed like that, and so you can see the space in there. But they're all set. They're all sealed really good. I ended up getting 8 pints of the cranberry jelly from 6 bags of cranberries. And what I'll do, like I said before, I will leave a link. Let's see. I'll leave a link below. He's trying to tell me that there was only 7. There was 8. I can count. I promise. Anyways, I'll leave a link below to the recipe. And like I said, the only difference between the jelly and the whole berry is that if you're doing the jelly, you're going to turn it off and let it cool down. You're going to blend the berries and sugar and water and juice. You're going to blend all that together, and then you're going to turn it back on, cook it for 15 minutes, and then add in the zest at the end. So that's the only difference between the jelly and the whole berry. Okay, so anyways, I just thought that this might be something that you guys want to look into doing for Thanksgiving, since Thanksgiving is coming. A lot of people like it for Christmas. And so this is just an alternative to the stuff that you buy in the stores. And being someone who is not fond of cranberry jelly, I actually tasted it and I really liked it.
Yeah, me too.
Now, I don't think that I would eat it with my turkey, but I could definitely eat it on my roll or something like that. Yeah. So, but my husband loves to eat it on the turkey and with, with the deviled eggs and all that kind of stuff. So,
like that.
Anyways, so thanks so much for spending time with me, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and we'll see you soon.